Dr. Coaching. Good evening, board and community. We have three presentations. First, we'll have we're going to do it in a different way. We have the Future Chefs Challenge. Those of you who partake in food that was given or provided in the lobby this evening. The results of the Future Chefs Challenge will be made public in a few minutes. Our next presentation, of course, is school number 3. We'll be performing, and I might be calling the principal. So we have 3, Mrs. Floyd. She will come forward, please. After the presentation, the school board will have our ethics training this evening. So those of you who want to stay for that portion of our meeting, please do so. But at this time, Ms. Gary Floyd.
Good evening, everyone. I'm gonna try it again. I can't see. Good evening, everyone. All right. So I would like to thank Dr. Boutique, Dr. Carpenter, Mrs. Pitts, my colleagues, of course, our wonderful parents, and last but not least, our students. My name is Mrs. Gilbert Floyd, and I am the proud principal of Winslow Township, school number 3. You can clap for school 3. Not for me, school. Tonight, in honor of Women's History Month, the young ladies at School 3 have worked tirelessly. They have put their heart and soul into this presentation. So tonight we want to honor women and their powerful contributions throughout history. And before they come up, I just want to say, we want to thank some of the powerful women in Winslow. Our Honorable Mayor, Marie Lawrence, our Assistant Superintendent, Dr. Carpenter, and our Board President, Mrs. Pitts. These are women in powerful positions, and they show other young ladies that the sky is the limit to what they can do, what they can achieve, and what role that they can play. So thank you to our women in Winslow. So ladies, take your place.
In a land of courage, strength, and grace, this woman was left an indelible trace. Their stories told in every rhyme, echoing through the corridors of time. Aretha Franklin was herself a song. She taught to stand tall, proud, and strong. With respect as her anthem, she paved the way for women to shine, come what may. Queen Nzinga, a warrior queen so bold, defied expectations. Her story told, with strength and cunning, she led the way in a world where women had their say. Khaled Lorna, just physically, she stood her ground, brave and keen. In the face of injustice, she took a stand, a symbol of courage in a troubled land. Ella Baker in the fight for justice. Her voice resounded, no room for injustice. In the movement for change, she played her part, inspiring the courage in every heart. mountain among the stars. She swore to the orbits her brilliant sword. With numbers and equations, she reached new heights, breaking barriers and reaching for the lights.
Madam C.J. Walker, with her entrepreneurial flair, she built an empire with skill and care. With hair care products and dreams of her sight, she showed the world what it means to fight.
Shirley Chisholm, in the halls of power she stood. Breaking barriers her courage understood. With unbought and unbossed as her creed, she showed us all what it means to lead. Ruth Bader Ginsburg, a beacon of light, fought for justice with all her might. In courtrooms and chambers, she bravely defended equal rights for all until the very end.
Maya Angelou, with words that sing, her poetry soaring on freedom's wing. With wisdom and grace, she taught us to rise, like a phoenix, reaching for the skies.
R-E-S-P-E-C-T. Find out what it means to me. R-E-S-P-E-C-T. Take it easy. Oh! Hello, I'm Aretha Franklin. I was born on March 25th, 1942 in Memphis, Tennessee. I grew up surrounded by music because my dad was a famous preacher. When I was just a little girl like you, I practiced and practiced, and soon enough, I was singing in front of big crowds. I became known as the Queen of Soul. One of my most famous songs is called Respect, where I sing about demanding respect from everyone around me. It became an anthem for women everywhere. So remember, no matter what your dreams are, keep your heart out and never be afraid to stand up for what you believe in. Thank you for listening. Hello, everyone. I'm Zinga, and I was born in 1583 in the Kingdom of Ndongo. As a little girl, I was taught the importance of leadership, strength, and resilience. As I grew up, I became a powerful queen known for my intelligence and bravery. I led my people in a long and fierce struggle against the Portuguese who were trying to take over our land and enslave our people. I fought alongside my soldiers, showing them that a woman could be just as brave and capable as any man. I continued to fight for the rights and dignity of my people until the end of my life. Today, I'm remembered as a symbol of courage and resilience, and my legacy continues to inspire people all over the world to stand up for what they believe in and fight for justice. So, girls, never be afraid to stand up for what's right. Thank you for listening.
Hello, I'm Colin Colvin. I was born on September 5th, 1939 in Alabama. As a little girl, I loved playing with my friends and going to school. But as I grew up, I started to see things that weren't fair. One day, I was just 15 years old. I was riding the bus home from school. The bus driver told me to give up my seat to a white person, but I refused and got arrested. This was a big deal because I was so young. I inspired others like Rosa Parks to stand up against segregation. So, girls, always remember that you have the power to make a difference in the world, no matter how young you are. Thank you for listening.
Hello, everyone. I'm Ella Baker, and I was born on December 13, 1903 in Norfolk, Virginia. As a little girl, I was curious about the world around me and eager to help others. As I grew up, I became passionate about fighting for equality and justice. I worked alongside famous civil rights leaders like Martin Luther King Jr., W.E.B. Du Bois, and Thurgood Marshall. But I also believe in the power of everyday people to bring about a change. One of the things I'm most proud about is founding the Student Nonviolent Coordinating Committee, aka SNCC. It was a group of young people who fought for civil rights. We organized sit-ins, marches, and voter registration drives to bring about a change. So, girls,
Always remember that you're never too young to make a difference. Believe in yourself and you have the ability to change the world. Thank you for listening. Hello, everyone. I'm Catherine Fulton, and I'm excited to tell you about my life. I was born on August 26, 1918, in West Virginia. As a little girl, I loved math and numbers. I would count everything around me and solve puzzles in my head just for fun. As I grew up, I worked hard in school and finished high school when I was only 14 years old. I became a mathematician, which means I use numbers and equations to solve complicated problems. I worked for NASA, and one of my biggest accomplishments was helping to send the first American astronaut, John Glenn, into orbit around the Earth. My accomplishments were crucial in making sure he came back home safely. Even though some little girls couldn't be good at math, I proved them wrong. So, girls, remember, you are capable of anything you set your mind to. Thank you for listening.
Hello, I'm Madam C.J. Walker. I was born on December 23rd, 1867 in Louisiana. When I was a little girl, I dreamed of making a difference in the world and helping others. As I grew up, I faced many challenges, including poverty and discrimination. But I never gave up on my dreams. I worked hard and became the first African American woman to become a self made millionaire. I created hair care products for African American women and I built a successful business selling them. I wanted to help women feel beautiful and confident no matter their hair texture or skin color. I also used my success to give back to my community. I donated money to schools and organizations that help African Americans. I even built a YMCA in my hometown to provide resources for young people. So, girls, always remember that you have the power to achieve anything you set your mind to. Thank you for listening.
Hello, I'm Shirley Chisholm. I was born on November 30th, 1924, in Brooklyn, New York. As a little girl, I loved to learn and explore new ideas. As I grew up, I became passionate about helping others and making a difference in my community. In 1968, I made history by becoming the first African American woman elected to the United States Congress. I worked hard to pass laws that help people, especially those who are marginalized. In 1972, I did something even more remarkable. I became the first African I became the first African American woman to run for president of the United States. Even though I showed the world that anyone, no matter their race or gender, can aspire to the highest office in the land. So, girls, believe in yourselves and your abilities to change the world for the better. Thank you for listening. Hi, everyone. My name is Barry Ginsburg, but you can call me RPG. I'm super excited to share a little bit about my life with you today. I was born on March 15, 1933, in Brooklyn, New York. As a little girl, I loved reading books and learning new things. I even wanted to be a superhero fighting for justice and fairness. As I grew up, I discovered that I had a passion for the law. I studied hard and became a lawyer, which means I help people solve their problems by using the rules and laws of our country. I believe everyone should be treated equally, no matter their gender or background. I eventually became a judge and later on a Supreme Court on the United States. Throughout my life, I fought for women's rights and equality for all. I even became famous for wearing special colors that showed off my love for justice. I always believed girls could do anything they set their minds to, and I worked every day to make that dream a reality. So thank you for listening, and remember, you can be a superhero too. You may shoot me with your words. You may cut me with your eyes. You may kill me with your hatefulness. But still, like air, I'll rise. You've probably figured it out by now, but just in case, I'm Maya Angelou. I was born on April 4th, 1928 in Missouri. As a little girl, I loved writing and telling stories. I would write poems and create make-believe worlds with my words. As I grew up, I faced many challenges, including racism and discrimination. But I never let those challenges stop me from pursuing my dreams. I became a famous writer, poet, and civil rights activist. I wrote beautiful poems and inspiring books that touched the hearts of people all around the world. One of my most famous works is called I Know Why the Kids Birds Sing. I believe in the power of words to heal, inspire, and bring people together. I use my voice to speak out against injustice and to uplift others who are struggling. So, girls, always remember to use your voice and your talent to make the world a better place, just like I did.
Just had to move next. I guess that they had to say something else.
Phenomenally, phenomenal winning. That's what we will one day be.
That was incredible. And Ms. Gilbert Floyd, these young ladies, this is school free. These are third graders. Now I'm a little older than third graders, and I need a book, but they got up here and did this. So can I ask the parents of these future phenomenal women to stand so we can thank you? Thank you so much. We're so proud.
Madam President, I would like to reiterate how proud we are of these young people. I'm encouraged again. Sometimes we forget our purpose, regardless of what they say. You already hear something about our children. But I want you to know tonight I was encouraged again to let you know that we have a lot of great, smart young people in our school district who continue to do the things that are necessary for them to be successful and uphold that banner here in Winslow Township School District. So I want these young people to know that I've been encouraged again tonight, reminded of our purpose to make sure that the dream these young ladies have comes to fruition. And we collectively can do it together if we continue to work together, parents, school district, teachers, administrators. So I just want to say on behalf of the school board and administration, we are encouraged again by what we witnessed here tonight. So thank you again, parents, and for those of you who've come out to acknowledge and also to witness what we've seen here. Not only School 3, but all of our elementary schools, middle school, great young people continue to do things that make us proud. So again, Ms. Floyd, on behalf of School 3 and these young people tonight, I just want you to know I needed that. Thank you very much. Thank you. Do we have the tabulations for I'm going to call Mr. Jackson forward to announce who the winners are for that challenge, but also the elements. Let's go. Colleen Lillage and Mr. Watkins. I think Mr. Brandon Watkins is also one of them. And Deputy Mayor, I'm sorry, Deputy Mayor.
Good evening, everyone. And first, let me say to our queens that we saw this morning, I'm pretty sure with all the personality and exuberance we just witnessed, in about 30, 40 years, we'll see someone at your age now, and they'll be up on that stage reciting that they are one of you. That's what you showed us tonight. All right. So thank you once again. Dr. Brooks, Superintendent, Assistant Superintendent Dr. Carpenter, Board President Ms. Pitts, Vice President Mr. Thomas, more importantly, our family and friends and all of our other board members, and those that are here with us today. Annually, we have our Young Chefs competition, and Mr. Watkins goes around to the schools and he introduces a theme. This year, our contestants were allowed to make a choice of their own. So they were able to make a dish of their choice, their specialty. And that was something that they were able to do this year. Before we go into that, the competition occurs in which students from our elementary schools are allowed to enter their recipe. Then the recipes are forwarded to the main office, and Mr. Watkins comes along with his staff, and they go forward and they identify the top 2 contestants from each building. As you see, there were only 3 contestants this evening. One of our contestants could not be. Before we go into it, our judges this evening, and we'd ask that they'd stand. Our future chef is Jamila Odom, former Officer Smith, Fire Chief Rickford, Committeeman John Wilson, Board of Education Anthony Askew, the Village of Camden County Incorporated Dr. Leon Moss. Representing Sodexo, we have Ms. D.I. Moore, right here. Director, Colleen Lillis. Director and Deputy Mayor of Winslow Township, Ray Watkins. Manager, Ms. Peggy Clark. Keep chair. Go ahead, keep chair. And representing the team assisted our future chefs in the kitchen this evening. We had Ms. Arlene Nanny, Ms. Lil Savage, and Ms. Nicole Newland. One of the future chef, although she was selected for the finalists, Nadia Cannon could not be here, representing School 6. Our contestants representing School 5 are Ariana Rogers, Jernae Walker, both from School 5, and Leanne Sampson, representing School 6. Leanne Sampson. Ladies. Each of the contestants will receive some form of an award gift. Without further ado, I will now announce our winners. In third place, making her favorite mac and cheese Leonie Sampson. Our runner-up, a rendition of Shrimp and Rice, Ariana Rogers, which means that our winner with Chicken Alfredo, Jernay Walker. Congratulations to all of our contestants, as you are all winners. Congratulations once again. And this is the night of ladies.
So that means they changed it then.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Jackson, and congratulations again to our future chefs on behalf of the school board administration. Ladies and gentlemen, that concludes our presentations for this evening. However, for those of you who are staying, we will now start the board ethics training. At this time, I see our presenters here. So those of you who come down. And I'd like again thank everyone for coming down. Take care.
So that's where we touched. I hate salads for the microphone. It's just after
Okay.
Yeah, put your films on. My guy right there.
Yes. To my left, yes.
Yes. DJ, you have with me.
Oh, no.
Getting a little. Yeah. It's fine, we'll check it. This.
Okay, can you hear me now? Okay, they untethered me, so I'm really happy. How is everybody this evening?
Okay.
All right, I'm sorry. This is really going to be a tough act to follow. I mean, the kids were great, so how do you follow something like that up with ethics? I don't know, but I'm sure going to try. So, as you know, annually, the board has to have a discussion about the code of ethics, and that fulfills their CUSAC requirements for the upcoming year. So I handed out for you, or thank you, John Shaw. John Shaw handed out for me a copy of the code of ethics for board members, which we're going to take a minute to look at. And on the back, there's a couple of cases that we may just want to review, just to kind of make sure that we're all on the same page with what the statutes say. So the code of ethics is actually part of a larger ethics statute that was enacted in 1992. The Code of Ethics did not follow until 9 years later, in 2001. And really, when you look at it, it really kind of guides the behavior of board members. As board members, it's up to you to withhold the trust and confidence of the people that elected you, the people that are in your community. And by reviewing and adhering to the Code of Ethics, you should be able to do that. We tell board members all the time, if at any time, you're doing something that makes a member of the public kind of like scratch their head and go, hey, wait a minute, can they really do that? That's when you really need to start thinking, hey, should we? And let me go back and review, my behaviors, my attitudes, what I said to make sure that I'm falling within these guidelines. And I do call the Code of Ethics really guidelines. This is your lane. And as long as you stay within that lane, you'll be fine. I'm not going to go through A and J. I'm going to pick out a couple of the favorites. And then we'll go from there. So my all-time favorite is C. Because that really outlines what your responsibilities are. I will confine my board action to policy making, planning, and appraisal. So if you are not making policy, if you are not making large free plans, or you're not appraising how well those plans were carried out, then you're not in your lane. You're doing somebody else's job in the district. So if you can keep those three words in mind, you should be fine all the time. I always like to point out the second piece of this that says I will help to frame policies and plans only after the board has consulted who will be affected by them. That doesn't mean that as individual board members, we go out and do that. That means that we turn to the people in our administration and say, hey, get us some information on this, from all of our stakeholders, whether it's our staff, whether it's our community parents, so that we can make sure that we're making a good decision. So it's not up to us as individuals. So C is always first and foremost. E is very important, and you're going to see why when we start reviewing a couple of the ethics cases. And really what it says is, I will recognize that authority rests with the Board of Education and will make no personal profit, nor take any private action that may compromise the board. So, my friend Jesse, who actually retired in January, Jesse was very fond of saying that being on the board is a team sport. So you don't get to pick your team members, you don't even have to like your team members, but you do have to work within the team. And that's what this really says. Any team member steps outside of that and starts speaking or doing things that they shouldn't be doing that reflects on the board, that's the problem. So you're going to see why in a minute, why we think this one is extremely important. Confidentiality is G. I will hold confidential all matters pertaining to the schools, which if disclosed could needlessly injure people. Right now we're in open session, so everything that we talk about is great. If somebody asks you a question, by all means you can answer. Make sure you give them factual information. You go behind closed doors and discuss those certain 9 things that you can. That is all confidential until the board decides at that time that it can be released. So you have to remember that. I will support and protect school personnel in the proper performance of their duties. You actually employ all of the people there. And it's not up to us to evaluate them. It's up to us to support them. We evaluate one person, and that's the person that evaluates who is responsible for making sure that other employees are evaluated. And my last one is my favorite of all times, because this is one that you should never forget, is J. I will refer all complaints to the Chief Administrative Officer and will act on complaints at public meetings only after failure to administrative solution. You are not the problem solvers of the district. You don't solve individual people's problems. So if someone has a problem, or you see something that's an issue, you get to refer it to Dr. Poteet, who then will take on the task of making sure that that's why it's always my favorite. And again, I can't stress enough to you how we're not moving for a problem. Collectively, there are things that you may have to sit down as a board and talk through and figure out how you want to proceed. But as far as the individual constituents and people and staff members in our district, you are not their problem. So that being said, does anybody have any questions on any of the other tenants here? Okay, on the back, I put together a couple of cases that I thought were kind of interesting. These were not all the ones that were decided, but these were the ones that actually were decided in 2023. So we put them on this list because you probably haven't seen them yet. The first one on my list is the board member copied and pasted information from a board email. And sometimes you do get emails, from your administration, maybe Friday emails, giving you updates and whatever. So in this particular case, this board member copied and pasted text that he received from a board email and sent those non-public contents to township clerk. I have no idea why. Unfortunately, it also happened which was not really cool. We didn't say that in here, but it's true. The board had not yet voted, or not yet met to collectively discuss the contents of the email that was sent. So this was where I began, and you can see where I put the what they violated, and it was E and G. So let's take a look at E. Remember E? I said I would recognize that authority rests with the Board of Education. So that private action compromised the board. That one team member took action that they should not have taken to compromise the rest of the team. The next one was
Sure. You mentioned that they received the reprimand. Did the one board member receive the reprimand of the entire board?
The board member,
Board.
yeah, because they should not have. You don't take information that the board hasn't acted on yet and convey it to the township officials. So it's that one board member. So I'm going to skip 2 for a minute. And I'm going to go right to 3 because we get this a lot. So in this particular district, they actually were that. And this one board member kind of had an issue. He said, "Why are you doing this? Everybody else is just Chromebooks are cheap." And everybody just said, we've been using MacBooks for forever. We have not any problems with that. So this one board member took it upon themselves to go conduct their own investigation, to contact vendors, get pricing on MacBooks, get pricing on Chromebooks, and bring it to the board table and say, "Hey, look, I did all of this for us." And can anybody guess why that wasn't appropriate? Without looking at you. So clearly, C, right? I will confine my board action to policy making, planning, and appraisal. Well, they weren't making policy. They weren't framing those large plans, and they weren't appraising how those plans were carried out. They were clearly doing someone else's job. So that was number 1. The second thing was, I will recognize that authority rests with the Board of Education. They took private action that has the potential to compromise the board. So you need to keep those all. I guess you can kind of see a theme here and why I kind of centered on E. So let's just take a look at a couple more. Okay, so let's look at number 5. So the board member, at the request of the union president, I'll say that again. A board member, at the request of the union president, notice I'm scratching my head here, sent an email to the board and an administrative assistant accusing the superintendent of changing the graduation date due to a personal conflict. Okay. So you will see that they took private action, right? Here we go with private action, E again. And the same member, as the secretary of a local organization, was told by the principal that the chorus wouldn't be performing at an annual event that they held. So they texted the chorus teacher to ask why. So again, we are looking at a couple of issues here. E being first and foremost, that was private action that could compromise the board. In addition to that was D, I will carry out my responsibility not to administer the schools, but together with my fellow board members to see that they're involved. If you have any questions at all, right, who do you go to? The superintendent. That's your contact. That is your contact. If you want to know why the chorus didn't play, or wasn't going to play, you go to the superintendent. That's your contact. If they don't know, they will find out from you. And I'm only going to do one last one because I thought this one gave me a chuckle. Number 7, the day after the board president lost an election, they directed the board council to conduct research on another board member who campaigned against him. And again, here comes that pesky E popping up again, took private action and used their position to secure unwarranted privileges for himself, which is part of the actual ethics statute, not the code of ethics. So there were 2 violations in there. I did put a note at the bottom, you can read the other cases, that note that every case includes a violation of the E. So the School Ethics Commission is taking a very hard look at people that aren't being deemed lifers. Questions?
Terry, I noticed
Sure.
that with regards to the repercussions for violating code of ethics, it appears that it comes to at least 2 or 3 levels: censure, reprimand. And there's a third one.
There's suspension and removal. And there have been some suspensions in there. There was one, this is 2023, I think it was 2022. There was a board member in, it was Camden County actually, that was suspended for 6 months for some perceived threats that they made against the coach in a public meeting. It wasn't a public meeting of the board. I think it was like one of those sports association meetings. They were there and they were talking about things. And the board member attended and said some things that led the coach to believe that they were losing their job. So that case went before the School Ethics Commission and they were suspended for 6 months. So it can be suspended or removed. Those would be the other two. Removal at this point, I think, is for very severe cases. But I do know that if you do not fill out your annual disclosure statement, that is one of the quickest ways to get removed from the board. The other one is to not take your annual training. If you don't do that, that is the second quickest way to be removed from the board. Questions? Now, I could stand here all night and talk about it. No, I can't. Do you have any questions on ethics or anything else I can answer for you at this time? Sure.
Test.
Okay.
No, I just said you're on the board and make clear to me that, you know, if you have questions, concerns on your one of your questions you can go to, and we are not in a position to really, you know, have these kind of questions with anyone else in the staff. So what happens when you're directed to talk to someone else in the staff?
Is the direction coming from Dr. Cote?
Yes,
Then you're more than welcome to do it.
that's the one.
Yep. Absolutely. And I will tell you, if you have any questions at all about ethics or should I participate in this, should I participate in that, the best person to answer those questions is your board attorney.
Terry, can I just do safe harbor for a second?
Sure.
And thanks a lot for coming and doing this. Nice seeing you again. I just want to remind all the board members, if you find yourself in a situation where you're concerned that you may be approaching a compromising position, if you call Mrs. Pitts, you do not have to give her a reason, and ask for permission to speak to my office. You can identify what the particular ethical concern is. And if you provide me a series of facts which is accurate, and I research the appropriate law and give you an opinion that the course of action that you're about to take is appropriate in accordance with the school ethics laws, and you take that action, and some third party files an ethics complaint against you under that scenario, this is all done in advance. That's called safe harbor letter. And what that means is you have a right to reasonably rely upon the fact that, you know, against all odds, I'm right in my opinion, and that you rely upon the opinion and the facts as relayed and set out in that opinion are consistent with what transpired, then you cannot be held liable. There's even been cases where the attorney's been wrong in the advice and the board member has relied upon it. And again, the safe harbor provision stands up against that as well. So I would encourage any board member, and from time to time, you've reached out with various legal issues or questions going through the president as appropriate. But should you find yourself with an approaching ethical dilemma, please call upon me. That's what we're here for. And we can get out of a lot of trouble before we get very close to the line that we all know. And the best things I read in a lot of the literature that gets put out on this type of stuff is it really, this is great and you have all the rules, and, you know, they all are by the Ethics Commission and all those things. But it's what you feel in the gut. If you know it's wrong, you feel it. And you know. If it feels bad, like you're not right, the likelihood is stop. So that's the trigger that makes you pick up the phone, call Mrs. Pitts, get to my office, preferably get Dan and Chris so you get the right answer, and instead of me, and proceed that way. And what will happen is I'll give you that opinion, and I will confidentially provide that opinion to Mrs. Boyle, who will put that, make sure that gets to your personnel file, so that that opinion is in the file and protects you for any future actions. Thank you, Terry.
No, that's good information. Anything else?
Terry, you just did a great job. And again, we thank you for coming, and without a doubt, going forward, we're going to be seeing you in the several training sessions that are coming down the pipe that we will be attending. But again, thank you so much, Terry. You always come through for us.
Have a good evening.
Thanks. You too. Board members, at this time, I'm still on page 2. I'm asking, is there any correspondence at this time?
Not at this time, Madam
Thank you, Ms. Fuller. Moving along, board members, at this time, I'm asking for a motion to approve the following minutes from the meeting of the Board of Education. Our regular meeting, which was held March 13th, 2024, open session. And again, the regular meeting, which was held March 13th, 2024, closed session. Is there a motion?
Peterson, for approval of the regular open and closed session on Wednesday, March 13th, 2024. Second, Ms. Martin.
Moved by Ms. Peterson, second by Ms. Martin. Any further comments or questions? Hearing none, roll call, please.
Mr. Ashley, Ms. Stratton, Ms. Martin,
Yes.
Ms. Peterson,
Yes.
Mr. Shaw,
Yes.
Ms. Thomas, and Mr. Thomas,
Yes.
and Ms.
Abstain.
The motion.
Thank you, Ms. Cole. Moving now, board members, I'm asking for a motion to approve the minutes of our Board of Education meeting, the special meeting which was held Wednesday, March 19th, 2024, open session. Is there a motion?
Peterson, for approval of the special meeting held on Wednesday, March the 19th, 2024. Second, Ms. Martin.
Madam President, I believe the 19th.
Tuesday.
Yes.
So board members, if you note on our, it shows Wednesday, but let the record show that that special meeting was held on Tuesday, March 19th, 2024.
Yes.
So can you just repeat that one?
Peterson, for approval of the special meeting on Tuesday, March the 19th, 2024.
Is there a second?
Second, Ms. Martin.
Moved by Ms. Peterson, second by Ms. Martin. Any further comments or questions? Hearing none, roll call, please.
Mr. Ashley, Ms. Stratton, Ms. Martin,
Yes.
Ms. Peterson,
Yes.
Mr. Shaw,
Yes.
Ms. Thomas, Mr. Thomas,
Yes.
and Ms. Peterson.
Abstain.
The motion.
Thank you. Board members, at this time, I'm at the top of page 3, and I'm asking for a motion to approve the superintendent's report that begins. Oops, let me back up, I'm sorry. I'm at the top of page 3. Board committee report. Would there be a report from our athletic committee?
Yes, Madam President, the Winslow Athletic Committee does have a report. March 26, 2024, we met virtually at 2 p.m. In attendance, John Shaw, Dr. Poteet, Ms. Lane, and myself, Joe Thomas. Once again, just reciting our committee goals for fiscal year 2024 was always to promote academics and athletics, which we did do a report on that at the beginning of the year that pointed out that all our athletic teams are at least at a 2.9 or better, with a special emphasis on our indoor track team coming in at an astounding 3.9. To reach the number 2 goal for the fiscal year 2024 is to reinstate the We Hall of Fame program, where we acknowledge Winslow Edgewood Hall of Famers and put them up in our corridors in the hall. And the third goal for our committee is the SEL Intramural Pilot Program, which will be social emotional learning with our middle school, 4th, 5th, and 6th graders over at School 6, where they will be learning intramural programs. The topic of discussion was our booster club. We finally got a report a report was given financially from our booster club on accountability and things that they are doing for as a banquet. We are going to be pushing, and we're going to keep this on the top of our list to have a deeper conversation, a deeper dive into that report. I put a report on everyone's desk today just to take a look at what that report entails. That report entails 6 home games with a banquet, and we need more information out of that. We don't know how many people got a trophy or how many people attended. We don't know where it was at. And I think it's, as us as a board, we need to hold people accountable when they use our facilities and our name to promote our students. We should expect a little more excellence from that. The We Hall of Fame nominations are up and running now. If anyone in the community or on the board wants to make a nomination to present in our Hall of Fame, we will have a banquet in September. They are up and running. We do encourage nominations. This is something good. You can be Winslow or you can be from Edgewood. Our SEL School number 6 intramural program is off and running. I'd like to thank Mr. Glenn Jackson for doing the homework, doing the due diligence, putting out the applications, finding students that wants to be in this. And this is our social emotional learning intramural program that we put in place to help our kids in motivation and team skills moving forward. We now just wait for the execution plan from Dr. Poteet so we can submit to the rest of our funders to make sure that our funding is achieved and in place. Athletic achievement, I will ask right now Mr. Shaw to give us an update on our athletic achievement real time.
Mr. Thomas, do you have a copy of that? Because I don't have it with me.
Okay, I'll go ahead and supersede and go ahead and give. I just want to give you an update that our spring sports are now beginning. Our boys lacrosse season just started. We've got 16 players on a roster. Girls lacrosse, we got 24 players. Boys outdoor track, we got 67 players on the roster. Our girls outdoor track, there's 46 players on the roster. And our baseball team got 33 players on the roster, which is significant. Our softball team got 22 players, and our tennis team got 9 players. We opened the floor for any comments after that. There was none. We adjourned at 2:25.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Thomas. Mr. Thomas, going back very comprehensive report to your topic of discussion with regards to the financial report. Are you recommending to the board that report be forthcoming or be?
The report.
What's the recommendation out of the?
That we at some point in an executive session or whatever session the president deems necessary, that we have a deeper dive and a deeper conversation on how to be hold them more accountable for the things that are taking place in our school and for our students.
So you're saying you want a more detailed report?
No, I want a more detailed discussion in an executive session with all the board members and the superintendent to discuss that.
Okay, thank you, Gary.
Thank you.
Any further questions on our athletic report? And hearing none, moving on, would there be a report out of the Citizens Advisory Committee at this time?
No report at this time. However, I need to mention that our normally scheduled meeting for Thursday, April 5th, due to the fact that school will be closed, we will have to change that date to the following Thursday, which I believe is Thursday, 12th at the administration building at 7 p.m.
Okay. Thank you. Could there be a report out of our education committee?
Yes, ma'am. The education next Thursday, March 21st. District webinar utilized meeting kept was for the order at 4:12 in attendance for read March. I was experiencing connective issues, so I followed up with the assistant superintendent as well as committee members. Our administrative liaison, Dr. Dorothy Bronco, was in attendance. The items that discussed that recognition is on the homepage of our website, and we congratulate Pam for who article in the educational magazine for teaching students diagnosed with auditory processing disorder was published over around for that exceptional piece of work. And that's a reference journal. The next was native Winslow students and transfers who were unable to determine that information breakdown. However, in terms of classified students, 1,201 students classified, which is approximately 24% of the student population, 56 students with either 109 ESL students, 134 special ed students out of the placement. Update received environmental STEM year review. Winslow Township district talented in district curriculum. We have STEM, graphic design, and the student academy. We talked about gifted and talented policy, which is 2464, which was initially adopted 2010, revised 2017, and then revised and adopted for the final time 2020. Dual enrollment credits for these now after 15 years. We have Rome College of Burlington County, Rome College of Shelter, Stockton, and Hampton County College that has the credit for our students to earn. Curriculum, the pre-kindergarten curriculum system resources. Our next topic will be curriculum development, textbook replacement, which is the strategic plan for the 5 years, summer program, and staffing for the 2024-2025. Our next meeting will be held at 4 p.m. Tuesday, April 6th, 2024. Adjourned at 5:15 p.m.
Thank you, Ms. Peterson. Board members, any comments or questions with regard to the education committee report? Ms. Peterson, would there be any recommendations at this time out of the education committee?
There is no recommendation.
Thank you, Ms. Peterson. Moving now to the report from our marketing committee. I know that our chairperson is not here, but would there be anything forthcoming from any of the members on the marketing?
Yeah, can I use a couple of the minutes?
You certainly can.
I just like to talk about the play, the sound that was here this weekend. I was very impressed. I mean, it's a professional looking play. It was packed. The kids were phenomenal, and I just want to applaud them for putting on that type of production, because I haven't seen no production like that before in my life, and I was very impressed with the kids and the parents were out doing that production that they put on this past weekend.
Wonderful. Thank you, Mr. Thomas. Moving now with the report out of our operations committee.
So, Madam President, the Operations Committee yesterday, Tuesday, March 26, 24, in attendance were Ms. Drake, Mr. Shaw, also in attendance were Ms. Boyle, Ms. Chico, and Dr. We have a very brief agenda. However, it will last for about an hour. As far as the capital projects, the security alarms at the high school, at the school 6B office, HVAC, there's really nothing to report. We are still waiting for the closeout docs for both of those projects. The circulation
these are current projects, circulation pumps, and the bills assigned. We awarded those two projects. The contract in my office, we reviewed the signature. The HVAC upgrade at the high school, still have to pass that resolution indicating increasing the justification for proprietary big control. Mr. Long did say that he assists with some of this template. The school, since HVAC upgrade, we have no movement on that to report. The before and after school programs that we'll share with staff is completing additional planning, state training, child safety and supervision, because they are up to date. Long range facilities plan was sent to us in completion. It just needs to be sent to the DOE approval, and then the 24-25 budget development. I'm sure you're all aware that on March 19th, it was approved and it's in time to stay. Once we receive the approval, we may then advertise the budget hearing. But one thing we have to ensure that we was the upgrading school 5. Our meeting adjourned at 6:33, and the next meeting is scheduled April 23rd, 2024 at 5:30.
Thank you, Ms. Ford. Board members, any questions or comments on our operations committee report? All right, thank you. Moving now, policy committee. The policy committee usually meets the fourth Thursday of each month. However, as you know, fourth Thursday of this month is Holy Thursday, and also it's the last day before the spring break. So therefore, the policy committee will hold its next meeting on, and I think I sent an email to the policy committee members. We'll hold its next meeting on April 11th, 4 p.m. virtual. We have several policies that we will be reviewing. We will begin specifically with taking a look at the cell phone policy. As an institution in our meeting, it was recommended that that policy was returned to the policy committee, and we will need to do that with the discussion for modifications and review. Any questions, comments on the policy? Thank you, board members. This time, I'm asking for a motion to approve the superintendent's report as it begins on page 3, and then it continues through to the bottom of page 8. Is there a motion?
Peterson report and recommendation for the outline A and B 1 through 28 down on page 3 through 8.
Second, Ms. Martin.
Moved by Ms. Peterson, second by.
I have a question there, Madam
Oh, you
President.
have a question?
Yeah, I like an explanation for number 23 and number 27.
What page?
I'm on page 6, number 23,
Page 6.
and page 7, number 27.
Page 6, number 23, and page 7, number 27.
Correct.
And what is your question?
I just want an explanation of what that is. I know on 26 is approved request for athletic department to accept the check in the amount of $2,900. Where is that coming from? What is that money for? And the same question on page 7, 27.
Madam President, on page 6, 23, high school teamwork. As you know, several postseason playoff games here in Winslow Township School District. The NJSIA pay those workers out of the receipts for their service during that game. We are just receiving that check. All of those individuals provided service. That check will be deposited into the athletic account for those NJSIA workers, because we, the school district, have already provided pay for those individuals. It's pretty much reimbursed us for those services. Is that enough clarification, Mr. Thomas, on that?
Yes, Dr. Potteet, very good.
Number 24,
27.
27. Dr. Carter, for those grants, number 2, and I know they're Title I grants, since you specifically, could you address those questions?
But recently, the high school was identified as a school that needs improvement. So when the school is identified, the state awards additional funding to help support their initiative of raising the bar. The high school is $125,000. We get title funding every year for all of our schools. When we receive additional funding, that money then has to be incorporated into the original budget. So what's on the agenda here is the approval to do a grant amendment. So we are adding in the $125,000 that was received for the high school. So this section shows the original money that the high school is getting, which is $277,332. And that includes $125,000 that they just received. So
To expound on that, if you recall, when I made that announcement to the school district and to the school board at the meeting, I also indicated that the school district will be receiving $125,000 for additional technical assistance from the state.
So we receive, as a part of the grant funding, there are pretty much 4 grants that we receive funding for. Title I, Title II. Title I is primarily for servicing students. Title II is professional development for staff, or dependent on the size of the class enrollment for second grade. We can use that money to reduce class sizes. But so far, we don't have heavy class sizes at that grade level. So the money is devoted primarily to professional development. Title III is money that we receive for ESO students. And then Title IV is kind of a discretionary fund that we use for social, emotional learning, health, and we have some discretion as to how that money is used. So what you're seeing, only those titles where we are making changes, even if we did not receive additional money and we want to change money from one line item to the next, that's what you're seeing under Title II. We're taking out $2,000 out of the 100-600 line, and that money is being placed under 200-500 line. And that's probably because it's needed for transportation. So that's the explanation for that. And then Title III, in the areas where we not use money, if we need to transfer someplace else, is what you're seeing. So you will see a minus 70,000 coming out of the 200-100 line, and it's being transferred to 200-300. And we are allowed to do that within the grant. So in order to make those changes, we have to do an amendment.
So, just for clarification, on page 8, it is titled 2.
It's Title II. Okay. Yes. That's professional development. And so we have carryover money. We have a large sum of money, and this is we're making the transfer. Most of that's used for consultants, for staff development, and we are looking to do some more consulting, and we didn't have enough money in that line, so we're transferring to that line.
So the additional money, is that specific? Does that need to go specifically to a specific line item, and do you have to report out on that above and beyond the rest of the fund? Because that's an additional fund.
Yeah, so it does not go to a specific line. So as a part of the identification process, you have to develop a school-wide plan. Each school does that. That plan is then submitted to the state. And that plan is based upon your allocation of money from Title I. So each school has a different allocation amount. For school number, for the high school, we're looking at about over the $277,000. So the lines that you see here on the side
the 20, 235, 100, 100. Those are the different ways that the money is being allocated to be spent. It has to align with the plan that you submitted. And that plan goes up to the state for approval, saying that it's okay. But each individual school decides where their need is and allocates some money to that line.
But it have to show improvement to the original goal. Because it was given because it was classified.
Every school that's been identified, the state will have state representatives who will come down during the course of the time frame and will work with the school. So there's regular monitoring and there is an assessment component. So you have to indicate post results as well as your pre-results and post-results. So there is an expectation of improvement.
Can you keep us informed of that?
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Just to expound on that process, as you know, last year, schools 1 and school 6 were identified by the state. And also that they are no longer under that process because they have met requirements. And that is the same thing that needs to happen here. The high school have to show improvement based on the assessment by the state, and only they lift that title or that indication of additional assistance. So we work collectively with the state. We are in a position where we have to wait until they identify whether or not there have been academic improvements in order for them to lift that particular title from the high school. Also, I just emphasize the fact that we are placing more emphasis on professional development than we've done in previous years. We believe that the better training teachers are, the better the instruction will be in the classroom. So we are placing a lot of emphasis on professional training. And I think that's important for the board and community to know. And that's why I like for professional development. Thank you.
Any further comments or questions? Hearing none, roll call, please.
Mr. Ashby? Ms. Drayton? Ms. Martin? Yes. Ms. Peterson? Yes. Mr. Shaw?
Yes.
Ms. Thomas? Mr. Thomas?
Yes.
And Ms. Cook?
Yes.
The motion has carried.
Thank you, Ms. Brewer. Board members, I'm on page 9. I'm asking at this time for a motion to approve the Business Administrative Board Secretary's report as it begins on page 9 and continues through page 12. Is there a motion?
Peterson, Administrative Board Secretary report. Item A, item B, 121, down on page 9, 12.
Second, Ms. Martin.
Moved by Ms. Peterson, second by Ms. Martin. Any further comments or questions? Hearing none, roll call, please.
Mr. Ashby? Ms. Drayton? Ms. Martin? Yes. Ms. Peterson?
Yes.
Mr. Shaw?
Yes.
Ms. Thomas? Mr. Thomas?
Yes.
And Ms. Cook?
Yes.
Motion has carried.
Thank you, Ms. Boyle. Page 13. At this time, board members, I'm asking for a motion to approve the personnel report as it begins on page 13 and continues through to the middle of page 14. Is there a motion?
Peterson, personnel report, which specifies the superintendent's recommendation for approval of the following items, 1 through 3, page 13 through 14.
Second, Ms. Martin.
Moved by Ms. Peterson, second by Ms. Martin. Any further comments or questions? Hearing none, roll call, please.
Mr. Ashby? Ms. Drayton? Ms. Martin? Yes. Ms. Peterson?
Yes.
Mr. Shaw?
Yes.
Ms. Thomas? Mr. Thomas?
Yes.
And Ms. Cook?
Yes.
The motion has carried.
Thank you, Ms. Boyle. At this time, board members, let's move to our agenda. On that same page, that's not down quarters. And at this time, I'm going to ask for action on the agenda. I'm asking at this time for a motion to approve the superintendent's report as it appears on the agenda, starting on page 1 and continuing through to the top of page 2. Is there a motion?
Peterson superintendent report recommended approval of the following items. Items 1 through 4, found on page 1 through 2.
Second,
Moved by Ms. Peterson, second by
Ms. Martin.
Martin. Is there further comments or questions? Hearing none, roll call, please.
Mr. Askew, Ms. Stratton, Ms. Martin,
yes.
Ms. Peterson,
Yes.
Mr. Shaw,
Yes.
Ms. Thomas, Mr. Thomas,
Yes.
and Ms. Smith.
Yes.
The motion has carried.
Thank you. Well, at this time, continuing on the agenda, I'm asking for a motion to approve the Business Administrative Board Secretary's report as it begins in the middle of page 2, continues through the bottom of page 5. Is there a motion?
Peterson administrative board secretary report with the recommendation of the following approval of the following action items 1 through 5, page 2, no, excuse me, 1, 9, items 1 to 9, found on page 2 through 5.
Second, Ms. Martin.
Moved by Ms. Peterson, second by Ms. Martin. Any further comments or questions? Hearing none, roll call, please.
Mr. Askew, Ms. Stratton, Ms. Martin,
Yes.
Ms. Peterson,
Yes.
Mr. Shaw,
Yes.
Ms. Thomas, Mr. Thomas,
Yes.
Ms. Smith.
Yes.
Motion has carried.
Thank you, Ms. Bull. Board members, before we move from our agenda, I would just like to comment on the superintendent's report. Letter A, I have really never seen a list of so many donations. And I would just like to publicly thank all who have stepped up and contributed these I believe, enormous amounts of donations. So thank you all to everyone publicly who is listed here. Anonymous donators, board members, community members, thank you so very, very much. It really does make a difference, and it shows certainly our students that we value them and we care very much about them. Returning now, board members, to our agenda, we're at the on page 14, the Open Public Records Act request.
Yes, Madam President, in the period of March 1, we received a response to request, one from Nigeria, from we wanted the results of the number 2024-13 and record displays. That request was denied because we had not awarded, was just awarded. And Leslie Scott, she requested registration efforts to start in so the request was also denied because it was overly broad. We had no idea when the student came in, when the student graduated, we were grouping, talking. She has around so she reported out. And that
Moving now, board members, to informational items. Dr. Poteet?
Yes, I have several information items this evening. As you know, that last meeting, the approved budget was discussed tonight and waiting for state approval. We have also scheduled a budget presentation for 2024 school year budget, which is scheduled for May 1st. The board can decide whether 6:30 or 7 at the We wanted to put that meeting out as soon as possible and do whatever is necessary to make sure the community is well aware of anything that we have a budget presentation for our 24-25 school year. Number two, we are experiencing some connectivity problems throughout the district, particularly at the elementary level. We are working with Comcast at this time to address those issues. Hopefully, they will be resolved very soon. We're not necessarily sure, but our tech department is working with them. They have designated representative to the district to help us to resolve that situation. So we're hoping it has nothing to do with our technology or infrastructure within the district itself. We believe that it's something that has to be done from the outside, and at this point, we are closely monitoring that situation. At our last meeting, one of our last meetings, of course, one of our students came out about the band door that damaged. I just want to give some additional information. One, that band door was the original door placed there in 1958. It has, of course, deteriorated to the point where it has to be replaced. I would like to emphasize the fact that the door is not one you can go to Home Depot or somewhere to replace it. That door had to be specially ordered and measured in order for it to fit. That door has to be placed on order, and we are hoping, but don't hold me to this, but we are hoping that the door will come in and install that door over our spring break. So we are doing what we feel is necessary to address that issue. Last but not least, I want to mention that our spring break starts with an early dismissal tomorrow. All schools will reopen on Friday, April the 5th. A robocall will be made as a reminder to all parents Thursday, Wednesday, or Thursday that all schools and offices in the Winslow Township School District will be open on Friday at its regular scheduled time. Madam President, that concludes my information items for this evening. I will address any questions that anyone may have at this time.
Then, hearing no questions, Dr. Boutique, we're going to move on to old business. Board members, would there be any old business that you would care to discuss at this time? Just one question, Dr. Boutique, I know that last month several of us participated in focus groups. Did we get any information and update with regards to that? Was that information?
My last conversation with Mrs. Carlo, she had set up virtual meetings with certificated staff. That has been done. She will be providing us a full report sometime very soon. So I'm assuming again that after that spring break, that information will be available to us, and whatever her findings are, she'll be making recommendations.
Great, thank you, Dr. Boutique. Continue with old business. Board members, I just want to remind us all, and I think I feel that Terry Lewis touched on it tonight. We do know that we are mandated to complete a financial disclosure. The deadline is coming fast. It's April 30th. And so again, I just want to remind us that that is something certainly that we know that we have to do. In addition to that, also, we also mandated, just remind us that we also must go through and complete our board self-evaluation. And that's another mandate that we must do as a board. Any other old business?
Madam President?
Yes, Ms. Thomas?
Yes. Just want to update the board regarding the team summit.
Oh, great.
Yes. So we won't be meeting again until after the summit.
Oh, that's right.
Yes. So just an update that we have 175 students registered for the summit. We have 9 organizations that will be taking the summit. And as you can see from the again, we have several donors. So we're looking forward to a successful event. And just just want to thank the administration for all their support.
And again, just remind us all,
Yes, I'm
tell
sorry.
us the date and time
Yes, April 20th at 10 to 3.
and
That's
location.
Saturday at the middle school cafeteria.
Thank you. Any other comments? New business? Board members, you want to discuss at this time?
I just want to say the following, after Mr. Thomas brought up during the marketing committee, about the play. Not only, because I attended it Saturday night, not only was the play an absolutely remarkable, out of all the shows that I've been to for the high school, this was one of the most remarkable plays. It brought me back to when my oldest niece, and not to date myself, but she's in her mid-30s now. Brought me back to when she was just like carrying her in my arms. And that was one of her favorite Disney movies of all time. So that brought me all the way back to when she was a little baby. And then to watch Mr. Doheny, in one of his very last performances, and the seniors provide him for his 30 performances in 30 years, which is an absolutely remarkable thing to watch. So I just want to thank all of our seniors for everything he's done for our students and all of his time in Winslow Township. And I just want to make sure that he knows how treasured he will be and has been for all these years. Well, they put it 30 years. Yeah, that's a
Continuing on, I really want to our student representative because I really a little bit down. I'm so I didn't see. I so the floor is yours.
Okay. Okay, so as Dr. Booty emphasized, we are about to be on spring break. Tomorrow will be spring break eve. I'm very excited. So in the beginning of the month, we started off by talking about the senior superlatives. So we celebrated our 100th day mark and we congratulated everyone for their senior superlatives. I was voted worst driver. I really got that probably, but that was what I was voted as. And as of today, we have 28 days left in school. That is including weekends. So we are reaching the end. And in the middle of the month, we just had testing for 12 and 14. And then also, to reiterate once again, we had the play that was great, Beauty and the Beast. And we also introduced our Six Flags trip, which will be in May. But we introduced it and started collecting permission slips and whatnot and get prepared for that. And yeah, tomorrow is spring break week, and we are approaching the end of the school year, and I'm very excited. And well, it's not very excited, but it's bittersweet.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah, public comment. Public comment. The Winslow Township Board of Education highly values the input of citizens in making important decisions that affect the children of our community. We believe in the rights of citizens to observe board meetings, to ensure that all of our citizens have the opportunity to attend school board meetings and offer comment, and to ensure that the board can conduct the important business of the district. We ask that speakers follow the guidelines for making public comment. The board secretary will recognize those individuals in the audience who wish to make comment. Please respect the following procedures. 1. All members of the public attending school board meetings must treat each other and the board with respect. 2. State your full name and the town in which you reside. 3. Please limit your comments to 4 minutes. 4. Submit your questions to the Board of Education in the event we can't answer them here this evening, with your name, address, and telephone number, where you can be reached, and your question will be answered within a reasonable period of time. And lastly, individuals offering citizen comment are not permitted to make personal attacks on any district employee, board member, other testifier, or member of the public. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you.
we didn't decide on time for our budget hearing. We have heard from the superintendent. Can we do that?
Did we hear that? Board members?
Good day.
You said, the date again? May 3rd. Yes, I know. So we're saying at 6 p.m.? To my left, board member, it's 6 p.m. on May 1st, okay?
It's okay with me.
Well, let me ask if it's, so are there any board members who cannot make it that day? After 6? So the majority of the board members, and it's going to be at 6. Are we agreed to that, board member? Yes. 6 o'clock? Okay. 6 o'clock. Okay. So at this time, board members, I'm asking for a motion to approve our moving into public comment.
Second, Ms. Martin.
Moved by Ms. Peterson, second by Ms. Martin. All in favor? Any opposed? Thank you, Ms. Boyle.
Madam President, we had 2 persons sign up also to speak this evening. Is there anybody alive?
There's
So no.
Yes. I'm asking for motion to adjourn.
Second, Ms. Martin.
Moved by Ms. Peterson, second by Ms. Martin. All in favor? Any opposed? No nays, seeing no nays. Therefore, board members of Mr. Long has indicated that we will indeed have a brief executive session. Mr. Long, you want to take us into that?
Certainly, Madam President, in accordance with the requirements of the Open Public Meetings Act, we'll be entering into an executive session on March 27th, 2024, 8:45 p.m. Of the 9 exceptions in the law on which we can enter into executive session, this will be with respect to matters regarding attorney-client privilege, and it'll be involved in the Booster Club issue earlier raised by Mr. Thomas, our board vice president. And I would estimate that we'd be anywhere from 20 to 30 minutes for that discussion.
Thank you, Mr. Long.
It may or may not be action taken coming out of that executive session.
Thank you. At this time, I'm asking for a motion to approve our moving into executive session.
Peterson. Second, Ms. Martin.
Moved by Ms. Peterson, second by Ms. Martin. Roll call, please.
Mr. Askew, Ms. Stratton, Ms. Martin,
Yes.
Ms. Peterson,
Yes.
Mr. Shaw,
Yes.
Ms. Thomas, Mr. Thomas,
Yes.
Ms. Pitt.
Yes.
Motion has
Thank you. We are now in session to executive session.